Everybody. Happy Tuesday to all of us joining both in the chat room and on YouTube. And welcome to the second official, unofficial slash we're figuring it out as we go morning brew. My name is Jared. I'm a moderator at Bear Bull Traders. And as I mentioned yesterday, I wanted to have a platform to start sharing some of the information that I've learned through my trading journey, through various amounts of research and analysis, and just to provide a higher level perspective as we get into the trading session each and every day. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Yesterday, Monday, wow, what a great trending session that we saw across the entire market. Starting off with the SPY, I think notably, as we look at the daily session, we could see that yesterday we had a pretty significant turnaround bar after multiple days of selling. I've gone ahead and added another indicator to my chart, and this is just going to be some very simple moving averages. As we move forward, I will continue to bring in or remove different indicators based on whatever the topic of discussion is at that time. But what I have on the chart currently is a 20-day simple moving average, 20 period, I should say, 50 period simple moving average, and a 200. Pretty straightforward indicators. I think most people know and to some degree respect these indicators, especially on larger time frames. So with the SPY, we talked about yesterday how we've been in this notable channel for what it seems like multiple months at this time. Ever since we had our election results and we had a little bit of the volatility bring us up into these upper price ranges, it's been a slow and steady climb throughout this channel, most notably seen on shorter time frames like a 4-hour chart, where this ping pong action and this sort of in between skirting the middle, we get to the upper end of the channel, we pull back, we get to the upper end of the channel, we pull back. And as we saw yesterday, I think we have shown at least a temporary confirmation that the channel is still relevant. We saw a lot of volatility last week, leading us into roughly the 380 price range on the SPY. And with some of the price action, especially in the afternoon, as we closed relatively weak, we saw that the channel support, there's various ways to draw this type of channel, but ultimately we're looking for a general area. We saw that this was confirmed, and we saw some follow through on Monday. So as we do, we just want to continue looking at this as sort of a gauge. Are we extended? And if we're extended, we don't necessarily want to go all in bullish. We want to be a little conservative relative to the fact that the market can pull down significantly from the highs. And then if we're overextended to the bottom side, there may be some potential for a type of reversal, sort of a retracement back to either the middle of the channel, which is a very conservative target for most channel traders, or if you're really long-term focused, you can be targeting the top of the channel, which would ultimately bring us to close to 400 on the SPY. So what does this mean? Why is this important? With the SPY showing strength, we want to confirm that there was strength across the market. There was a strong breadth or a lot of things moving in tandem. And if we see that, that is an indication that maybe this has some continued strength and it wasn't just a sort of bounce, an oversold bounce, maybe like a dead cat bounce, a reversion to a mean. There might be actual breadth and strength to continue this higher. So If we look at our Qs, which is going to be our NASDAQ 100 ETF, we have our similar channel, and then we have this trend line, which if you recall from yesterday, starts at the COVID lows, touches near prior to the election results being announced. And we're seeing that the Qs are having a little bit of a battle to try get back into trend on the daily and ultimately to potentially revert back into the channel, which would presumably lead to a test of the top of the channel. You know, if you fail to break down on a range, you typically want to go and test the other side of the range, and that's general range-based rule trading. So if we look at our channel, high to low, high test, low test, high test, failure to break out, very significant pull down, breaking through the channel, back test of the channel, a little bit of moving average resistance, and then starting to lose trend. What's notable and what we talked about yesterday was, can the Qs reclaim this trend line? What they have shown us is that currently they are attempting to. They have found a breakthrough of the trend. I would say the volume is not relatively significant yet, but they did come back into the trend line. They found resistance at the channel, which is, once again, not surprising. This is a very, it's basically a range that we're trying to see, you know, who's winning. If you're below the trend, I would say the bears are winning, but they're a little oversold. If we're in between the trend and the channel, it's sort of 50-50. Anything could shift at any time. And then now we're trying to see, are they going to back test this trend line, find support, get back into the channel, or are they going to use these two areas as sort of a new lower channel? Are they just going to bounce in between here? If we see the reversion into the channel, I would say that the Qs could easily pick up momentum, and we'd want to see some other aspects of strength whenever that occurs. If we do not see that, then this lower channel could be a little choppy, a little bit of a consolidation area. It's a very tight range to work through. I mean, we can obviously travel through it in the course of a day, but it is a choppy area, and the market in respect to the tech and NASDAQ sectors could be a little hard to read while we're in this area. As always, we're kind of looking for some amount of confirmation on whether it be a pattern or some high volume sort of trend reversal signals. And what I like to see here is we are starting to form a structure, head and shoulders. So we have this large head here that has formed. And now we're trying to see if this part of the head and shoulders can form on the inverse side to reverse trend. So you have an area of interest here, you have an area of interest here, and then you have this area of interest here. So Qs, I would say, are a little hard to read. There's definitely some pressure in the tech sector. We talked about that with regards to interest rates. And now we want to see who's going to be the leader, who's going to be the laggard if we are going to continue a bullish trend in the market. IWM, notable bounce. We retraced a significant portion of the selling that occurred. The channel structure in here is a little bit of an expanding channel. It's not necessarily parallel top and bottom. However, IWM has been the leader for a long period of time. We've made roughly from 160 to 230. I mean, that is a little bit of a 50% gain from low to high on these recent moves. So IWM risk on tends to be an indication of market strength in terms of riskiness. Smaller caps tend to outperform when market participants believe in a strong recovery of the overall economy and general market strength. So if we see strength here, and if we see a lot of this confirmation show itself over the next couple of days, maybe we pull down a little bit more, form that reversal structure, and then come back up to the top of the channel, that would be, signs that everything is starting to structurally look much better in this marketplace. So the VIX. Now, we haven't really looked at the VIX yet on this session. And with the VIX, I do like to take it with a grain of salt. For those unfamiliar, VIX is an index product. It is a gauge of volatility over the next 30 days within the SPX, or the SPY index, S&P 500 index. It leverages future contracts on the 30-day expiration to gauge what the market believes is the level of volatility at that time. So a depressed or a contracted VIX at lower price points will indicate a relatively stable and less volatile SPX. But if we see some short-term price, I would say price gains in the VIX, then the SPX can be pricing in more and more volatility short-term, which is relevant to us as day and swing traders because we may get larger range in this market. We might have choppier price action both up and down. Volatility is it's not necessarily to the downside. It could be in both directions. But what I'm seeing here, just short term, and we'll leverage the VIX more and more as we get more familiar with how to use it, is we had a significant spike up last week during Wednesday and Thursday session. So we stayed elevated, we had our spike up, and now we're starting to see once again that this is depressing back into this lower range. Anywhere from 24 to 22, things have kind of just restabilized in the VIX. And as we've seen many times before, we'll have 1 or 2 days of significant volatility increase and then a major retraction back into a support zone. That said, anytime we see a creeping of volatility, we always want to take some caution. What this means is that the market participants who use volatility as both a trading vehicle and as a hedging mechanism are starting to price in volatility. They're starting to anticipate within the next 30 days or so some sort of event that will cause market instability and therefore, a higher range of trading. When we see those upticks, we need to also keep in mind, where are we trading in the market? Are we elevated? Are we sort of overbought? And we can use things like the channel trend line or other indicators to see relatively where we are. If we start to see those upticks in the VIX, maybe we be cautious. We start to potentially take profit on long trades in the anticipation of a pullback. And then if we see a major spike up, typically this is followed by some amount of selling, a little bit of instability, as we mentioned. And from there, we just kind of gauge how much of that is going to last. Sometimes this can be a couple of days of session. Sometimes this can be multiple weeks of volatility. So some people will use technical analysis on the VIX as well to kind of gauge breakouts, support and resistance zones. We can certainly go through that exercise. I won't go through it today necessarily, but the thing to keep in mind is that a lowered VIX means that we may see a little bit of a uh, uh, I guess trying to think of the opposite word of expansion, uh, a compression of the trading range, whereas a heightened VIX will be an expansion. So high VIX, we'll see large moves in the market like we saw last week. Lowered VIX, we may see a little bit of a tighter range, maybe more inside days or just sort of grinding action in the markets. And we can use that to basically say, okay, it might be a little bit harder to find trending candidates in the market on a compressed VIX versus an elevated VIX. Things will be moving rather quickly and rather significantly. So, final topic that I wanted to cover in today's session, and then I'll open it up to a couple of questions since I didn't have much time yesterday with the technical issues, is something akin to what Brian has been discussing, and it is related to the 10-year, the 30-year, any of the treasury yields, which have been seeing a lot of upside movement over the past, let's call it, couple of months. For the longest time, and this is the TNX, which is the 10-year Treasury Index. It gauges the yield on the 10-year Treasury. Any price that you see here, think of it as a percentage yield, and at 10, you're looking at a 1% yield. So right now, anywhere between 1.4 and 1.5, which would be 14 and 15 on this index, which is where we're sitting. We saw a lot of elevated upwards momentum in this index last week. This raised some concern in high growth and I would say anything that is the start of a recovery phase in the economy. Those growth sectors tend to outperform on a lower yield interest rate. The concept is that if you can borrow money and money is cheap to pay back, i.e. there is not a lot of interest that you have to pay on the money that you borrow, then high growth candidates can grow more aggressively and have a discount rate proportional to the debt that they're taking on to grow their company. This happens in typically aggressive tech sectors, speculative sectors, anything with limited to no record of income or profit. So it also occurs in stable tech companies as well. They can simply borrow to grow quicker than their competition. They can also acquire and merge with other companies that can't make it through that depressed time. So we're seeing a little bit of a shift in the markets where some of these tech giants or tech sector candidates are running into some selling pressure or a little bit of maybe distribution because of yields starting to rise. Whether or not this is a significant top is yet to be seen. It does look like one from a technical perspective, and we are pulling back, I would say, somewhat significantly from this high, which is leading to some return strength in the Qs and in the market in general. What I would like to use this for is, are we going to see support at any point? And this would be an ideal spot to be watching. This was a recent high point whenever the market was relatively volatile during the COVID crash. Are we going to see a pullback into this support and then continued momentum to the upside? If that occurs, I would expect tech to once again have a little bit of either uncertainty or potentially selling pressure, as market participants will be looking to other sectors for, basically putting money into the market. I talked about it briefly. Some other candidate sectors that you may want to be interested in looking at would be things like financials. Financials tend to do well in a high interest rate environment. Um, Not necessarily in an inflationary period, but as the tides are shifting, the financials will see a relative strength compared to the market. Energy tends to track similarly. We've seen that in things like crude oil prices, natural gas prices, the energy sector in general. We will look at that a little bit more probably in tomorrow's session. But whether or not those are going to be the ones carrying this market forward as tech either consolidates or potentially distributes all of its gains and then pulls back further with a increasing yield on the interest rate. That will be yet to be seen. As intraday traders, I think just taking note of this, or even swing traders, taking note of this and seeing where is the tide shifting and why. What are the correlations that you want to take in mind? I think we'll probably have a little bit of calmness as this pulls back. Tech will potentially start to rise again. Financials may or may not have continued strength because we are still elevated. It's just a pullback in the yields. And then ultimately, if there is consolidation in things like bonds, which are the inverse of the yield, then tech could potentially perform throughout that sort of consolidation, while financials and energy also hold up well. And therefore, the market could be very strong in the next couple of sessions as we see yields pull back from these highs. So that is the majority of what I'd like to cover. There's quite a few more topics to go over, but as with everything, we got to build this up over time. So I'm going to look to the chat room, see if there was any questions that I missed. All right, so let's see. So yeah, there's some questions about the 4-hour chart. You can certainly apply that on DOS. You just have to set it up as like a hotkey. If you're in the chat room, we can show you all how to do that. You can perform this analysis with any time frame, really. I'd just like to stick to slightly higher time frames as we tend to look at the lower time frames more commonly in the pre-market show. Can you apply Pearson fail to spy in the cues? Absolutely. I think Pearson fail, the idea is that if you get range expansion and it fails to go into that range, the opposite will occur. And if you have enough volume and enough market participants to carry forward the reversal, quote unquote, the failed range expansion, you will get scenarios where the price will quickly pass through the other side of the range and potentially break out to the other side, depending on the strength of the move. Let's see. What software is this? This is Thinkorswim. I'll be using it for most, if not all, of my sessions. For looking at indices on DOS, I believe you need to use the $ symbol. Most of the index products I'm looking at here, just simple the ticker name, but DOS, I believe, has a different format for indices. Yeah, and David answered that question. Let's see. And then why are bonds the opposite of yields? I would recommend just looking up how that relationship works. It's not a complicated topic. It's just one that could be easily explained with like Investopedia. The idea is that they're inversely correlated to each other. So a high yield leads to lower bond asset prices and vice versa. The main thing to keep in mind is that if you're looking at a 10-year yield, you need to be looking at a 10-year note as well. 30-year to 30-year. They're correlated to their respective yields. So there's multiple time frames for bonds. And when we start hearing things like yield inversion or yield curve control, we will talk about those relationships and why the market takes them seriously, especially when certain um, bond yields will invert. Those tend to be actionable events in the market due to how people invest and people look at performance for each of those asset prices. Do I use Thinkorswim for trading? I use it for swing and option trading to some degree. I do not use it for day trading. I obviously use it for analysis as well, just because I can kind of see things high level and not cloud up my day trading setup. I can mark things here without it being a bother to clean it up before the session. So that's the main reason why I use it. But it also has some good indicators that I like to bring in. Um, the differences between technical and swing trading and intraday, I think there is a lot of crossover. However, I think the longer term time frames and seeing things like relative strength and relative weakness of the market are important. If you're a swing trader, you want to be riding a strong wave in a strong market in order to really outperform just going out and buying the SPY. So as a swing trader, you're trying to like be a little bit better than your benchmark that you're using. And in a relative strength environment, you can find, stocks, candidates, sectors, whatever it happens to be, that have just a bigger push to them than the overall market. And that's the idea, finding the right setup and being in the right sector or the right area. So really quick on YouTube, let's see. We've got, knowing all this, what are the indicators you use on your charts to keep it simple? I think for simplicity's sake, if you're just looking at a daily or some higher level time frame, the best thing is just start off small. Use price and volume and really get a sense of who's in control and where things changing direction, short term, long term, etc. Layer in simple stuff, moving averages. I like the volume profile because it gives me a sense of where value lies in the market outside of time. And as you see correlations, see if they're tradable events to you. If you believe that every time this occurs, the market tends to do this, build a trade around that, build some sort of criteria around that, and start to test it. It may be true for multiple months, buying a pullback, selling certain channel highs, seeing certain patterns that you wish to take action on. And then if it becomes a profitable way, you can sort of automate and build that into your overall setup. So that's what I recommend. Just always starting small, learning basics and understanding fundamentals, and then layering in to your overall trading. All right, so right at time. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. As always, thanks everyone for watching. My name is Jared. If y'all have any questions, please reach out to me and be on the lookout. We are going to be building this resource more and more as it evolves and as we layer in more and more information to keep everybody on the same level. So thank you and happy trading.
Can't hear you, buddy.
Sorry, my mic is on mute. There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so good morning, everyone. Hopefully, everybody had a great day yesterday. Hopefully, you're having an amazing morning. Let's get to it, guys. Welcome. Good morning, Norm. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're doing all right.
Yes, happy Tuesday, and really hope you guys are enjoying the pre. I think they're calling it the market brew or morning brew. So we'll see what sticks with that name. But hopefully you're enjoying with Jared's information. Like I mentioned in the chat room, guys, we're going to learn a lot with Jared. He is just amazing with the information he's providing. So, big thumbs up for him for that. Let's get started here, guys. Let's take a look at what we had on our list yesterday, starting with CAN. So this one right on here, guys, very active. Over the last couple of days has been pretty good, actually. Very, very active. Yesterday had a big day. Let's go back and look at the action for yesterday right in here. CAN. Look at yesterday, March the 1st. So here it is. Again, just an amazing breakout, very clean. And this stock is going to continue to do that, I think. I mean, it just has a lot of very clean days. So today already has good volume up 1.5. But yesterday, if you could see all the breakouts it had a beautiful breakout here above this 1838, I believe was our high of our pre-market. Again, this strategy, these breakout strategies with this type of market have been really, really good to spot and trade. When the continuation is there, if the market is trending nicely there, they do very, very well. You can see here, you also got another opportunity as it came down and tested the 9 moving average and then never really looked back after that. Was very strong the entire day. We also have Plug. Now, Plug was a little bit different. As obviously, you can see the chart not as clean. You did get this insane drop here, which I did not expect. I thought it was going to be a little bit stronger. But look at the drop you got yesterday on here. And then from there, it was not really looking good. It was very, very choppy. So again, a real tough trade to take there. It did get a nice reversal here around 51.10. It did support, it did hold this level, and it did bounce back nicely to the moving average and then some. So, but again, not an easy stock to trade. FSR was pure chop, guys. I didn't really look at this one. Nothing clean here. It got better later in the day. So if you're trading after hours, you can see here how the pop happened a few of these times here, getting pretty nice above the high of the day here at that time. You can see a lot of breakouts there on FSR. Workhorse was another one that was, again, pure chop. And this is the issue with Workhorse at times that it doesn't trade very clean. And yesterday, that's what we saw. Just nothing clean happening there on Workhorse. Next, we had American Airlines. This was a little bit choppy at first, but then traded very nice, guys, both to the top and to the bottom. So you had a pretty nice breakout here between this support area you had right over here around the pre-market. You had a great support happening there. This is why sometimes the pre-market lows, again, they're important, but you got to see where a lot of the touch points are. And you can see here how many times this thing was bouncing off this 2165. Did find support. Look at the breakout towards the high of the day. Then it got very toppy here. And then just look at the breakdown, losing the VWAP nicely. This would have been an amazing short. The great thing about American Airlines, United Airlines, you have inventory for sure. It's very easy to get in and out of these positions, both long and short. POTR, guys, was typical POTR. I mean, just look at the nastiness here. Just nothing clean about it. It was nothing fun happening with POTR. And again, this stock can do this and at times trade very, very well. And yes, it was not one of those days. So with that said, guys, let's take a look at our market pulse, see what's happening there, and get into our trading day.
Hey, man, well, Jared, which good for him because I usually don't have enough time and it's such a high level thing in just about 30 seconds or a couple minutes. Jared steals my thunder in the morning, which is awesome. I love it. With what's going on, as he mentioned, SPY was pretty volatile the end of last week, particularly, but we've been selling off a little bit since our recent highs. You got your email up on the screen, bud. But yesterday we had a huge bounce, essentially the bottom of the channel that Jared had described, back up in, tested, and came back. So we'll see where it holds. We're pulling back just a little bit this morning, just a touch. We'll see where we end up. Anybody knows? I think some people are a little freaked out by what's taken place. A little bit of flashback of last February and March. So it'll be interesting to say the least. We have auto sales coming out in the next couple of days. There are no specific times on those. They'll be released throughout the day, usually today and tomorrow. And then we've got some Fed speakers at 1 and 2. So not a whole lot going on today.
All right, excellent. All right, guys, let's get to it. I'm gonna let's pull up our charts here and see what we have for today. We'll get rid of the stuff we had yesterday right in here. And let's make some new rows for our watch list today. So here we go. All right, let's clean that up and see what we have. Both on the green and on the gapping up and downside, again, not a whole lot compared to what it's a lot, but again, we're used to seeing this list be so massive. Actually, there's pretty evened out today, so not too bad on both ends. Let's start with gapping up today. We started with a low flow EYEN, and this one here again, just not looking good right now, guys. A low flow, 16 million shares flow. And you can see here the price action is just not great. Daily's horrible. We'll skip on this one. We need that to look very, very good. KOPN at the moment right now, this one is what do we have here? It's very choppy. The pre-market also doesn't look great. It is not a low flow stock, but this is not looking
they had earnings this morning. I have not gotten
Yep.
through it. Yeah,
Okay.
but they did have earnings this morning.
Gotcha. We'll definitely take a look at it. Maybe we'll add as a secondary, come back to it. Hopefully that can trade a little bit better later down the line. Does have great volume though, 1.3 up 18%, but just the pre-market not looking too good right now. CHFS, we've seen this low flow here before. Does not look great right now. The volume is very light, 17.1 million shares traded at the moment, but again, volume is not looking great for that one right now for the type of flow
Earnings
that it is.
this morning as well.
Earnings, all right, cool.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe. Let's see, because let's see if it's earnings. I want to see what this low flow stock will do at 3.2 with earnings. That would be interesting. Let's put it here as one of our risky piles. RKT, and this one, man, wow, up 15%, 60% right now, 3.3. I mean, this thing just skyrocketed this morning. What's going on? What's the latest and greatest?
Well, they had earnings last week, and this has been a pretty consistent disappointment ever since they IPO'd. They had a nice rally in the month after the IPO, which was I want to say I think it was July or August of last year. And then it just sold off, and then they came in and had earnings at the end of last week that were just stellar. So
yeah,
it's been rallying on that.
So again, pretty good pop here on RKT. Definitely on our list. They got some good news here, and they've been trading very, very well as far as the daily. But the intraday hasn't been all that great here. So let's see if
it's funky to trade. I don't know exactly what it is. It's not the liquidity doesn't flow through it smoothly or something because you get some funky fills. You get some patterns that don't continue like you would think they would, and that's not abnormal to have a pattern that fails. That's not what I'm saying, but
right.
repeatedly, over and over and over, things don't seem to work. Swing trade, great. Day trade, not sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on this one, guys, for now. But again, just be mindful that it can be very choppy. It's just one of what Norm was just telling us there. Here's NCTY. At the moment, they are up 12.4. I usually do not keep this one as a main stock, maybe a secondary. It doesn't trade well. So again, yesterday here, you can see here, some of the candles are not clean off the top here. You can tell. It's just not the best type trading stock. Again, they're up today nicely, 12.7. Their daily does look interesting for a possible run here. If they can continue with this momentum, they ended well yesterday. Let's put it as a possible for now, but I might not keep it any more than that. Actually, it's a low flow stock at 5.3, so we got to bring it down here. NCTY, put it on the risky pile. Here's Perry, 27 million shares traded right now. They are up 12.5. Pre-market doesn't seem to have great volume at the moment, so this does not look good. Daily's really all over the place, very light for the most part on as far as volume goes on the daily. So I'm not seeing anything great here. I like the pop of 12.5, but that's about it on this one. So I'm going to skip on that one right now. JG, I personally do not like trading this one. I know there's been a couple of good trades done on this stock. So I'm going to skip it, guys, today. It looks a little bit all over the place as far as pre-market action, but I just personally do not like the way this stock trades. Here's Zoom making our list this morning. Wow, big day yesterday. They're gapping up nicely, 7.2. Definitely in play. I know they're a difficult stock to trade, but they're in play this morning. Very nice here.
Most of their big day yesterday was after hours. They had earnings right after the close last night. Had a nice big pop. Getting some upgrades this morning, so it definitely in play.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what it does here, guys. Again, big day yesterday, big pop, big gap up this morning today. So we'll keep an eye on this one. All right, we'll stop here in the gapping up list. Let's go over to what's gapping down today. FGEN, they are down 23%. Wow, what a drop, guys. Now, the issue with this one is the volume for the most part is very light here. You can see they're barely doing 1.5 million, if that. Their daily, because of that reason, doesn't look clean, very choppy, as you also see here. Today could be the difference. Obviously, they got a nice big drop here, down 23, 253 shares traded so far. We'll put it as a possible because there is a chance it might not trade well, just because the way the stock looks and everything else. RDHL, this one dropping down nicely, 17.7. 329,000 shares traded, so big drop here. Very similar to the one we just saw, guys. Again, their volume very light for the most part, and their days that don't look clean. You could tell here on the way these candles are forming, they're not the best, but they got some pretty good action this morning. We'll put it here as a possible as well. Let's see how that continues. All right, heading on down, INSG. INSG this morning, we're starting to get going here. Down 18.7, 582,000 shares traded. Again, all these three very similar as far as volume on their daily. Not a whole lot, but both down very big this morning. We'll fine tune this. I'm going to keep this one on here as well. Just want to see what's going on with those down big into the double digits this morning. AI, this one is a down 12.3, 212,000 shares traded, but I could already tell this one is going to be one of those where it's going to be very difficult to manage the risk. I could tell by the way the prices are. Some of these candles here are a dollar, and you're not getting good flow activity in the pre-market. So that could change. Their daily is really wacky too. Look at this here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch this, guys. This just be very careful.
Recent IPO. The chart is a little hectic on the daily, as you mentioned. They did have earnings last night. So.
Yeah, just be careful on this one, guys. The spread right now not showing too bad, but the way this thing moves, you want to be very careful here. All right, EAF, what do we have here? They are down 8%, 168,000 shares traded. I do like this drop we're seeing here. Again, another one with lighter volume for the most part. We'll take a second look at this one. Again, it's not great, but I do like the drop here with some movement here. Here's NEO down 6.1. I do like this one. Great volume, 2.7. Pre-market action starting to look very nice here in the last couple of minutes. Let's see if that drop continues. We know they've been having a tough time, guys, at leaving this area here of 68, 56 was a good support for them, and they dropped below that, and they have not really made an attempt to get back up there. So this looks good.
Yeah, they had earnings last night. I believe they had a little bit wider loss than expected. The biggest problem is they're citing semiconductor shortfalls in acquiring semiconductors for cars, which is something we've spoken about in that industries, the semi specifically, just lack of supply right now, and that they're going to be limited in the second quarter on the number of cars they make. So they've been making, they're going to, I think it's cut back about 25% just because they don't have the supply chain coming through to supply the semiconductors.
Yeah, it's gonna definitely hurt them big time. So again, they look good this morning, guys. For definitely a stock in play. I will definitely keep an eye on this one. Volume is great right now, 2.8 million, down 6.1. Here's a APEN, 17 million shares flow. Just looking at the flow and the volume, that's not gonna cut it. So we'll skip on that one. PBR. Now PBR, we traded before in the past. This one could be exciting at times. So right now we are down 5%. 865,000 shares traded, so that looks good. Then losing some ground here big time. They're not doing well. Let's take a second look at that one as well. This morning we do have shares for short, but yeah, let's take a look at that one. Looking pretty decent so far today. All right, let's stop right here, guys. Norm, what do you like this morning on your end?
I got two for you, man. Target had earnings this morning. Don't always trade great for intraday trading. The 60 minutes pure chop right now so far this morning. That having been said, they did have earnings, so they might be something of interest later today if they get going. The other one's Roku. They came up with an agreement with Nielsen, some sort of I didn't dig too deep into it, but because I was watching something else when I heard about it. But a deal with Nielsen that it gave them a big boost after hours yesterday, so we'll likely in play again today.
Yeah, we'll definitely put a Roku on here, guys, so we'll take a look at that one. All right, cool. Let's take it to the chat, guys. Let's see what you guys have this morning. Let's start with what we have here. Oh, let me scroll up here. Let's start with Fabio Riot. Let's start there. So you're giving us Riot this morning. Let's take a look. So again, Riot Bitcoin is up a little bit today. You can see here Riot is up 3.2, 513. Again, guys, these stocks, the Riot, the Mara, they're all going to trade obviously whatever the Bitcoin is doing. These guys are going to be affected by it. Riot does look better, a little bit cleaner than most right now. Yeah, it seems like it has more volume, cleaner daily. So you could definitely watch this one. I'll put it on here. Again, usually I don't put these on my main list, even if they look great, which this one does, right? The day looks great here for a possible pop. I just find them a little bit more, slightly more difficult to trade with their price action. But nevertheless, at any point you can get a pop with these things. Again, Bitcoin right now is being talked about a lot as taking over bonds and doing this. There's a lot of news and a lot of stuff happening with Bitcoin that can create some good movement and volatility for us. So I think it's worth watching at least one of these to see what plays out there. All right, let's head on. Oh, did I skip? I think I skipped a few people here. Let's go back down. Where were we? Oh, sorry guys, I'm gonna have to continue here with Eric. Oh, Eric is next actually. Oh no, sorry, before that, Fubo. Here we are, Fubo. All right, so let's go to Fubo, guys. Right now, volume pre-market not great, but I do like the daily. I see what you're looking at here. You got this consolidation happening happened right below the previous day close, and now we're above that for a possible continuation. Yeah, I do like this one the way he's setting up here. If we can get going, this can trade very well, and it has before in the past for us. So let's put that one on the list there for now. Let's look at XPEV. Sorry, sorry guys, keep losing my spot because this thing keeps moving here for me. Yeah, XPEV is right. Okay. Here we go. So XPEV is next. This one, interesting. They're down as well, but I'm gonna keep Neo instead. Neo has amazing volume right now, guys. 2.9 million, right? So I think they're both gonna trade very similar. I think Neo is gonna give us a better opportunity. So I'm gonna watch that one. But you can watch XPEV if you like the way that one moves. GSX. Take a look at this one. This one is running, guys, up 12%, 163,000 shares traded. Already looking at this, the risk management on this one is going to be tough. The spread is pretty bad for a stock sitting at $117. So far, the low of this morning is 110. They're sitting at 117. So be very, very careful with this. What is the float on this as well? Won't be surprised if it's a lower flow stock. I don't, oh no, 107, so not too bad. Again, guys, be very, very careful. What happens is, yes, this is moving, this is up 11.7. The price action could be very, very funky. You can get pullbacks here that can be $1, $1.50 in a matter of seconds, right? So again, just be mindful of that. I don't like to trade stocks that look like this unless they have amazing volume. And right now in the pre-market, we're not seeing that. That could get better at the market open, but for the most part, I'm going to keep it away from my list so far. Here it is, Ride. Let's take a look at Ride. So again, right now at the moment, great daily as far as the consolidation happening here. They're up 5.2, volume 142. We can take a look at that because there's a few on here that I added on that were gapping down. These big double-digit numbers are not looking great. So those might not stay there. We just want to pick at least the best one out of those if we can. Here is Coase, and I know a couple of you guys threw this out here. Coase this morning, they're pretty much flat right now, but I think somebody said earnings. Is that, yeah? So they had earnings this morning as well. All right, so a possible earnings play. We'll put it right here next to Target. We'll come back and see how that trades. With Coase, guys, you got to have a good setup because even with earnings at times, these retail companies don't trade well. Even Target is like that too. But let's see if the market is trending. Anything can happen nowadays with the way this market is. So we'll keep a close eye on those two. Here is SQ. SQ is looking good, guys. Up 3.7, 178. Again, they're not going to give you the best pre-market action. We know that from watching SQ quite a bit. But their daily looks very nice here, guys. Couple of green days back to back, and now possible continuation. We do have a nice high over here of 283. Not saying we're going to get there, but they have extended their range towards the top side. I think that's their all-time high as well. So this looks good coming into the market open today. I'm gonna add it on here. I know I have a lot, but trust me, there's like 4 in here that we're gonna drop off very, very quickly. SOS. Let's take a look here. SOS at the moment up 14.4. Now I haven't watched this. I know it's been very active. Has anybody watched this and is it trading clean? I haven't really taken a look at it. 5.7 right now is what we have as far as a 5.7 million shares traded. So some really good volume. For that volume, the pre-market action is okay. Lower price stock and the flow. Oh, this is the one we've been talking about, Norm. I could tell now. This is a limited American I think it's a Chinese
Yeah, it's a
company or
Chinese
something.
company.
Yeah, I don't like this one, so we'll get rid of that one. Fubo, we have Plug. Let's take a look at Plug. I know they've been pretty nice so far. Plug 1.8, 657,000 shares traded. Let's remove some of these levels here. Plug could be interesting. They had a couple of really good days on Plug, so we'll add Plug right on here. Make room for Plug there. All right, perfect. All right, CAN, beautiful day yesterday. You know what? We have to make room for CAN over on our top list because I think they're trading very clean, guys. Very, very clean. And today they definitely got not much going on as far as movement. They're pretty much flat. But look at the way this action is happening right at the previous day close line. So we'll see if it's going to hold here or it's going to continue. Again, great day yesterday. We do have some really good levels towards the top here if we can get moving. So let's keep an eye on the CAN. I do like that one for today. Neo, we do have RKT is great. Nice big pop today. Apple is so David from Connecticut. Apple is your new Baba. You got to keep me up to date with that because once I stick on to something, it just stays stuck to my mind. So David from Connecticut trading Apple. Apple's good, guys. I mean, if the market is trending the way it is, we mention it all the time. Apple is one that you can watch closely. I'm not gonna add it to my list, but I know if the SPY, I always have the SPY here in this corner. I'm always watching it. If the SPY is moving nicely, heavily in one direction, I can go to Apple or any of these other stocks that can move with Apple as well. I mean, with the SPY. All right, guys, let's stop here. Let's take a look at some of the stuff we have over on YouTube if we haven't covered some of these. A lot of people throwing out SQ. Yeah, we have SQ. I have SQ right on here, guys. That one looking good for today. RKT, we do have. Zoom, we do have, so that's good. RCL, what are the cruise lines doing today? Yeah, RCL has no volume, so I don't think, not that I don't think, this is not in play today. CCL has a little bit more volume, but again, 597 for CCL or NCLH. That's not a whole lot of volume. They're not in play this morning. Roku, we do have. Zoom, we do have. Okay, Fubo. Yep, I like Fubo today. They're looking good. Nice big pop for them, 5.6. XPEF is down on news, but so is Neo. So I want to keep Neo on deck. I think they tend to trade cleaner at times more than XPEF. This one we have not looked at. GRPN. What do we have here? GRPN, huge day. This is Groupon,
That's
right?
still
I
a
think it
thing.
is. Is this Groupon?
Yeah.
I remember this. Yeah. I don't know if it's a thing. I've never used Groupon. I have friends that have, and I say it's great, but I haven't heard about this in a long time. They're doing well.
Great. Well, I guess it's good for the consumer. It's terrible for the business owner.
Oh yeah, it's more of an advertisement thing, right? Because they're throwing things like 50% off. So I don't know how they make money, how the owner makes money.
They don't.
But something happened yesterday. We were doing pretty good here, man. 44 all the way up to 58. So big pop yesterday. They traded well. Today, guys, I'm not seeing any volume here. Only 18,000 shares traded, so pretty much flat. Maybe they'll get the volume at the open. Just look out for this on your scanners. I'm not going to be watching this one on my radar for now. So all right, so that's Groupon, SOS. Yeah, guys, SOS again. It's a foreign company. It's funky here. Yes, we have some big breakout days. Looks like actually this is actually after hours. So it's not even an intraday. I don't know. I'm not a fan of this one, guys, to be honest. So if you like this one, please watch it. It looks like it's getting ready to go for a move here. It's up 14.5. It has some good volume, 5.8. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. We'll keep an eye on it. It's not bad. We do have some other ones here that I know are horrible. We're going to take those out. Maybe SOS can stay in the mix here. All right. What else do we have, guys? Let's do a few more. NVIS. This one this morning, up 6.3, 203. I looked at this one before. It wasn't great, but today could be different. NVIS, ZNGA. What is this? No, this is not good. No volume there. DKNG, DKNG. What do we have here? Big day yesterday for them. Pretty much flat right now, guys. Again, possible continuation, but I know this stock. I'm gonna wait for it to hit the scanners. But again, nice breakout day yesterday here on DKNG. So yeah, let's see. After I fine tune this list, we might bring DKNG back in here. All right, guys, let's stop here. We have a whole bunch today to look at. Let's go over to announcements. We'll come back and I'll fine tune this list here.
All right, guys. We have tonight, 8 p.m., Thor's Part 2 on how he uses pivot points. And then next week on Tuesday, 8 p.m., you're going to have Mike's webinar on TradeBook, why it is so important to have a TradeBook. and develop that. That'll be at 8 p.m. as well. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., you've got Dr. Reed with his Kill Zone presentation, part of the Mastermind Pro course. Be talking about trading with Fibonacci's. And then next week, 5 p.m., you've got Creta. Note the special time, 5 p.m., since she is in Europe. Time zone issues there. So talking about chimps again and adrenaline and overcoming your analysis paralysis. All right, guys. Meetup tomorrow night here, DFW. It's going to be at Hard 8 Barbecue in Coppell. Be sure you don't go to the wrong location, please. I don't want to hear about it. It is Coppell, 688 Freeport Parkway. It is not the one by Nebraska Furniture Mart or any of that stuff. It is Coppell, 688 Freeport Parkway. Please, 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 RSVP in the forums. Abiel has posted the link above. I believe he has. If not, he will up in the alert section. You do not have to be a member to come. You can come have a drink on us and discuss trading, whether you're a member or not. But you still please RSVP. You can get a forum membership for free and do so. JP just killed me. Hard 8, best and worst meat sweats of his entire life, or hers. So anyway, love to see you guys there. I've got a whole, if you can see these boxes here behind me, I've got BBT swag to give away at the meetups, at the meetup. If you want to participate in the member trade of the day, trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade of the day, mark it up, should have entries and exits, and then put any commentary on the strategy. Post it on Twitter, tagging at Verbal Traders, at MikeB_BBT, and at NormBBT. Also use hashtags BBT, Family, Day Trading, and Stock Market. We will announce the winner each day in the closing bell showing on Twitter, and then the whole team takes all the trades from trade of the day that week, votes over the weekend for trade of the week, and that'll be announced on Monday, the closing bell showing on Twitter. All right, if you're watching us on YouTube and haven't tried out the chat, use the promo code PREMARKET24. It'll get you a discount on the intro membership, which is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days, does not auto-renew, turn into any other kind of membership or anything like that. It just cuts off. That also gives you access to those Monday night classes, which are Carlos's live onboarding class every Monday night at 8 p.m. and the new technology class. Thank you, Kyle.
All right, thank you, Norm. Appreciate that. All right, guys, let's get to it. Let's see what we have here in our watch list. We're gonna start with our secondary list. Let's fine tune this here. We have way too many. So calls I like this morning. Again, they have an earnings. Their daily looks interesting as well. So let's see how the earnings play goes today. Fubo taking off nicely, guys. This is looking real nice. We'll keep that one on there. Target will keep as well. Again, possible earnings play. Might not be active early in the morning, but maybe later down the line, as Nor mentioned. EAF, yeah, so this is the one we're talking about now, the ones that are not looking all that great. EAF, well, let's keep that one here for now. FGen, I'm going to remove this one, guys. Again, I just don't think this is going to trade very clean. Based on the volume that this does on a regular basis and how the chart is looking. So we'll delete it. I do like the drop here, but that's about it. KOPN had actually earnings, so we'll keep that on there. RDHL, another one that's dropping nicely today that I just don't have any faith that's going to trade clean. The volume is very light for the most part. We'll get rid of that one. Same thing with this one, another one that's dropping nicely this morning, but again, just not sure it's going to trade well. And based on the others, again, you always got to pick the best out of the best, right? Those are not it. Maybe on a day where things were not moving as well, they could be up here in our main list, but today we got some other ones that are looking a little bit better. Riot, guys, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not, again, this Bitcoin type plays, I don't know, it's just they're not my thing really. So I'm not gonna keep them on deck right now. Riot looks good, guys. Nice big pop here this morning, 5.3, and it has, the day looks good. It has room for continuation here if it can get going, so that's nice. Let's see what happens there. SQ is looking very good, guys, on the daily. That's nice. Plug is good. SOS, we'll keep an eye on that one, and we have Envis as well. So still a very long secondary list, but we got a few here that you don't have to pay too much attention just yet. TGT and COS are earnings. KOPN is earnings. They don't look great right now, but maybe down the line they can get better. All right, let's take a look at our main list. We have Zoom with a nice big pop today. That's good. RKT, nice big pop today as well. That's nice, good volume. Neo is definitely in play. PBR is interesting here. Nice drop this morning. Roku doesn't have a lot going on. We can probably move Roku down to a possible. I know they have some nice positive catalyst, but At the open, they'll get the volume though. We've seen Roku put this type of pre-market action and do very well at the open, but we'll put it as a secondary for now. And let's keep the stuff that's really moving aggressively so far already in the pre-market. So with that said, these all look very good for pre-market action at the moment. I think I want to move up. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can move up 1 or 2. I think SQ might be it. Quickly going through this, SQ might be the one that we move up here. Let's see. Ride is good. Yeah, I think SQ, Fubo, actually Fubo is what's coming up. Yeah, that was looking very nice this morning. All right, so that's our list. Let's do some levels, guys. Start with Zoom here. So towards the bottom, you have the highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. So that's pretty much taking care of you there. Towards the top, the high of the pre-market is this little dot right over here, 445. 90, so we'll throw a level there. Above that on the daily, you do have this area here, 451 48. So some pretty good stuff happening up there. Towards the bottom, low of the pre-market, 444.79. And then right in here, you have a level of minor support and resistance right there. But I do like what I'm seeing here over. If you go to the left, you'd have a great area of rejection there. Nice resistance happening off that day. A great change in direction. So that 427.17, a good level to have there in case we do decide to drop here. Now, we know Zoom can be very wild, guys. So you got to be careful. It can be tough to trade. It can be difficult at times to catch the price action here. 561, another level above the high of this day here, just in case we're going to run. Again, we had a big day yesterday. We're capping up another 7.5, so we're definitely extended as far as a couple of days action here. Do we have the legs to keep going here? So we'll keep an eye on that one. I'm not sorry, Roku. RKT, very active this morning, guys. 4.2 million shares traded so far. So this one definitely in play. Hopefully it trades clean today. We know that it can be a little funky at times. 28.59, high of the pre-market. The low of the pre-market at 25.53. So a couple of levels there. Look at this low of the pre-market, how it's interacting with this date over here, right? The resistance on this one day going back on January 27th. So that is what we have here. Let's head back. Is this all-time highs? No, it's not. We have some levels here on our daily. We can zoom in and get some action on. Right where the price action is, or slightly below that, you can tell it's a level here around 20. What's that? 26.97. You can see resistance, great support here. Again, just the back and forth between 26.96 and 28.59, just back and forth on there. Again, a lot of support and resistance happening here. So you would definitely want to mark that level down this morning on there. Towards the top, you do have another one here to 30.62, and then all the way up here, I think is your all-time highs, right? 34.47. So again, RKT doing real nice this morning. Let's see if they got some continuation moves for us here as far as when the market opens or not. So here's Neo. Neo continues to drop, guys, and we got some pretty good levels on Neos. Let's start with the top. Highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, previous day close. So you do not need to add anything more up there. Pre-market low, it looks like it's going to continue to come down here. I'm going to mark this day here, the low of this day right over here. This will be here, 46.17. Let's see what happens there. So 46.17, I'm going to mark that down for now. We're coming up against that. Let's see, we're going to find some support there. Below that, you have the lows from 2 days ago. And then below that, you have this beautiful drop here down to 41.72. So again, nice level there on the daily. If you zoom to the left or scroll to the left, you can see here how many touches we have on that 41.72. No coincidence, thing opened up, slammed down, and that's where it found some support right on there. So a lot of touches there. All right, Neil looking very good, guys. Great volume, 3.5, down nicely, 6.6 this morning. Here is PBR now. This one doesn't look as great. A lot of the other ones that we looked at that were gapping down. Let me zoom up here, scroll this up. A lot of these here that were gapping down big in the double digits look very similar to this. They're not great, but we traded PBR before in the past, and it's done okay. So I'd rather keep this one here. Maybe not one that should be on the main list. Maybe it could be more of a possible. But let's do some levels for it. We'll fine tune this as we get closer to the open here. So low of the pre-market 730. High of the pre-market pretty much next to the highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, the previous day close. Again, tons of levels up there. I'm going to scroll to the left here. Let's see what we have as far as levels between the low of the pre-market right now and the high. So if we zoom in here, this solid red line is your price right now, and you can see slightly above that 752. You got a great area of resistance happening right on there. Again, look how many touches we have on that. So that looks good. And then below that, you have here around a 684, another great area of support on the daily. So looks pretty good right now as far as levels on PBR. Do not need to add any more. Let's look at CAN, who has been incredible for a couple of days here. A couple of weeks has been great. And again, put in a big day yesterday. Love the pre-market sitting here at 21.07. Although the price action looks a little bit choppy in the pre-market, I like the fact that we came above the previous day close and we've been holding this pretty nice. Every time we dip below that, we come right back up. So that's interesting. I would love to see this thing take off from here and hold that. So let's keep a close eye on this one. 22.90 high of the pre-market. Above that, we do have 24.77 and all the way up here, 25.84 as far as levels. And then towards the bottom, you do have highs and lows from the last 2 trading days, but you also have a level here, 2015, couple of days touching that as resistance and support around that 2015 price target. So pretty good on CAN, very active this morning. Here's Fubo. Fubo is taking off, real nice, up 7.2, almost 500,000 shares traded. It did blow past a couple of levels here, 40.70, 74. We'll mark that there just in case we come back to that. Right, a great area of support and resistance that can be. Above that, we do have 42.88, great area of support. Look how many touches we have here on the daily, so we will definitely want to have that on there. And then above that, you do have another level. Again, this daily here starts getting a little bit messy, right? It's not as clean as it is right here. Right over here looking real clean on the candlesticks. Here it starts getting choppy, but if you look at 46.39, 46.40, you can tell here how much resistance you have on there and how many touches you have on the daily. So sometimes even when you have this not so clean daily chart, you can spot places and price targets where there's a lot of touch points as far as the daily wicks, days opening and closing on that price target. That 46.39, 46.40 is definitely one of them. So, all right, taking off here real nice, guys. You can see here the pop now up 8.3. This thing is moving nicely with some really, really good volume. All right, that's what we have as far as our main list. Let's take a look at what our moderators are watching this morning, and we'll come back and fine-tune this list a little bit more. I only have 2 moderators right now. We're a little bit early on the moderators list, so I'll come back to that. Let's take a look at our secondary list in the meantime. So Roku, guys, is good. Let's fine-tune this, see if we can fine-tune this a little bit better. KSS, these are both okay for now. Fubo, I have here twice. Let's remove this one. Okay, there we go. That makes it list a little shorter. Target starting to move now too. That's a good one as well. EAF, I thought we deleted this. This should not be here. Let's get rid of this. Yeah, let's get rid of that. KOPN, I know they had a new catalyst, so this could be interesting here, guys. We'll keep an eye on that one. Ride is okay. SQ is nice. Actually, SQ probably can replace PBR. Yeah, I would think SQ can do that because SQ will most likely be a cleaner trade this morning. Again, based on just watching SQ so much. So I'm going to replace PBR, guys. I know PBR has the volume. I know they're down 5%, so it looks great. The pre-market action looks better than SQ, but SQ's daily looks interesting here, so I'm going to move that one up. Let's do levels for this one now. High of the pre-market, we're sitting at 252.92 here, so that's good. Towards the top, we do have a level here at a 261.24. And all the way up here is 283.57. Here you can get crazy here and start putting some in some areas here, like here on 271.60. Again, a couple of touches there, but they're not going to be main levels as this one here. This 261.24. Look at the resistance. Look at the support. This 283, obviously great area of resistance, and never came back up there, so that's a good one. And I believe that should be your all-time highs as well. Now towards the bottom, guys, below the price action, previous day close, and highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. So yeah, I think SQ looks a lot better than PBR, and PBR doesn't have to get completely dropped off. We can watch this still as a possible. So we'll bring it down here as a possible PBR. It still has some potential. All right, let's take a look at our moderators lineup, guys. Let's bring this in. What do we have here? Let's start with, scroll back up. Who do we have? Here it is, Peter. So Peter reporting ace backs again today. So no real IPO stuff for opening up today. Eamon's list, watch list, FGEN starting out with CLOV, Riot, secondary list, Zoom, BA, and DKNG. Oh, yes. I did want to look at DKNG. I'm going to put it on here. We'll come back to that one after we finish this. Dima, she's looking at NEO, Fubo, CAN, and RKT. Tiffany's looking at NEO, RKT as her main list, secondary list, Zoom, SQ, and Fubo. Jared is looking at a NEO, RKT, Fubo, Zoom, Riot in play today. So these are looking very good for him this morning. Peter likes RKT, AMD, Zoom, secondary list Target, DKNG, and SQ as well. And Mike is looking at SQ and Zoom, which both look really good this morning with some nice volume there. So, all right, we got a pretty good list. I want to look at DKNG because their daily does look interesting, guys. Here after such a big pop, I think this is worth having as a secondary list. And I'm going to remove some more stuff off our secondary list. We do have a couple of minutes left here. So MVIS, this has some potential. That's good. SOS, I want to keep this on here, but you know what? I'm not going to touch this. I know that. So let's get rid of it. Plug, although it's been trading well, it's not looking great. If it was above, if it was on the daily above this 52.50, slamming above that, maybe right now I think this can get into some chops. So I'm going to remove it for now. Just want to fine tune this list a little bit more. SQ we have on the top already, so get rid of that one there. Ride, again, had one big pop here. This will be great if it can break out of 21.88.38. That would be a nice move there. So died down the last couple of minutes here, so not sure. I might end up dropping that one off. KOPN is okay, and then Target, Coles, Roku. Yeah, I think that's a much better list. And we do have some risky stocks down here, NCTY and also CHFS, which is taking off now, guys. Look at this one here, up 40% this morning, 800,000 shares traded. So be careful with that one. I'm not sure if it's a low flow stock. Yes, it is 3.7, 3.1 on that one. So again, be very careful. All right, that is what we have, guys. Norm, anything else that we might miss that we might have not covered? Anything else you like that came up?
Fubo's flying, but you already looked at it, so
yeah,
you've covered everything I've got.
All right, excellent, guys. We have a pretty, again, it's been an exciting couple of weeks, man. This market has been incredible. We're having a lot of fun in the chat room talking about everything that's going on and finding these opportunities. So again, guys, be patient. Brian is coming in with his list: RKT, Fubo, Neo, and CHKS for fun. So you know what that means. It's a low flow stock.
Is that CHKS or CHFS?
Oh yeah, you see, I read this one, but maybe it's not. No, yeah, CHFS, because
I think it's a typo.
Yes, typo. Yep. Good catch there. All right, so that is what we have, guys. Again, it's pretty good watch list this morning for second day of the week. With that said, guys, do not forget we start our pre-market show now at 8 a.m. with Jared, going over the overall market analysis and his take on what's going on there. So please make sure that that you definitely join for that. And then right after, Norm and I with the pre-market show. So trade safe, guys. We will see you. We'll see you tomorrow. Also, tonight is a success webinar, and we have I forget what Eamon?
Store Pivots part 2.
Pivots. Oh, part 2. No, part 3. I think it's part 3 now.
3? I think it's part 2.
Oh, it is
part 2 on the sheet.
Oh, it is. Oh, it should be part 3. I think it is part 2. Oh, so my mistake. So yeah, so Thor is tonight, guys, at 8 p.m. He is going to be scheduled at 8, so definitely do not miss that tonight for the success webinar. So take care, guys. Stay safe, and we will see you guys tomorrow or tonight. Have a good one.
Hope everybody has a great day. Don't forget to RSVP for the DFW meetup.
Yes.
Coming.
Yes. All right.